Hello, beautiful souls of the Angelic Love and Light community. It is Ashlee Escobar, the owner of Angelic Love and Light. I'm here to give you guys energy update, specifically in regard to the new moon. But in these next few days, I have a few videos dropping because there's always a lot of energy going on. And so let's dive right in. First of all, I want to do a little teaching education on the new moon specifically before I dive into the specific characteristics of the Virgo new moon. Um, it's not usually a favorable sign for it to be in, but I'm super excited for this one. I love September. I love Virgo season in general. So I try to enlighten you on both sides of it, but I equally love to just see how it can benefit me and the collective and focus on that. So new moon, what is this? Why is it important? We have a lunar cycle. Every 30 days we have a new moon and a full moon in one single month. And a new moon is when the earth is the furthest away from the moon. Okay, so it presents more darkness. Your subconscious mind can be a little bit darker or heavier around new moons, specifically in Virgos, because they're very hard on themselves, specifically in their minds. People's dreams are reactivated again because of the new moon in Virgo. So we've got the sun in Virgo because it's Virgo season, and then we've got the moon in Virgo. So it's like double Virgo energy today. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. The sun represents your ego, but however, the moon represents your emotional body, okay? So you have a moon sign. And then there's Virgo's energy that's impacting everybody's emotional body, and we're going to talk about that. What does a new moon represent? A new moon represents ultimately growth and change and opportunity for fresh starts, setting intentions, and grounding with action to actually create that foundation of your plan by taking the action. So many people come up with a plan, have a plan, but don't initiate it, don't take those steps, don't consistently work on it to build that foundation, to build all 30 days and take that into every month. And what does that do ultimately? That helps you to grow as a person. Whether you're on a healing journey or not, everybody has the chance to evolve every single day. And that's what I call growing into your higher authentic self, where you're not trying to be perfect, you're trying to be your best self every single day and discover more about yourself and learn the lessons, change the actions, and grow. And everybody can grow. You don't have to be on a healing journey from anything specific or within spirituality. Although we are all spiritual beings having this human experience, why not utilize the energy and the resources around you to make sense of it? Because I don't know about you guys, I like to keep things simple. Life is hard enough. Challenges are hard enough. I know how to navigate hard challenges at this point in my life, but I like simplicity. And that is possible. A little bit more about Virgo specifically in reference to new moon. Virgos rule the 6th house of your natal chart. So if you've done your natal chart with me, you better have that bad boy out. You better check your 6th house, but also where Virgo is for you. If you have not had your natal chart done with me, it's a great way to learn yourself at a deeper level, and click that link, schedule yourself a natal chart. If anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, okay? So the 6th house, what is the 6th house? And I don't really like saying house because then people are like, well, that sounds kind of out there or too mystical. The houses represent areas of our life. So the 6th area of our life is health and wellness. And I want to say health in a general way because your health is your overall wholeness, okay? That's your mental, spiritual, and physical health. That starts within because healing ultimately happens from within to the exterior layer. Many humans that are still on society's hamster wheel of life do it opposite, and they try to heal their outside and then inside. And it can work like that, but ultimately you're doing it backwards. So it's the wholeness. It's all within you, and the answers are all within you. And when you use all these tools and resources, it helps to navigate and actually hear, see, feel, know the answers that are within you. Okay, so I'm excited to talk about the Virgo energy. I love certain qualities about both the negative and positive sides of Virgo, and then there's other parts of it that makes me want to shake them and other people around, because we're all being impacted by the Virgo energy right now. They're beautiful people in general, and I know a lot of good Virgos. So Virgo energy and how it's impacting this new moon, guys. The Virgo new moon ultimately is no greater time than September to reorganize and restructure your every single day routines of body, mind, and spirit. Okay, it's why September always feels so fresh start. I'm very productive in September. I'm very organized, more than I normally am. You really utilize the energy of what it represents. And so think about that going back to school feeling and getting to wipe the slate clean. You've had your fun for the summer, but not getting off track next year that much. So you have to restart as deeply. So reorganization, analyzing small details that have been coming to your mind, because like I said, the moon is our emotional body and also represents that subconscious mind, that the moon is ultimately acting like a flashlight. But in this case, with the new moon being the furthest away, it's very dark and it's harder to see and know that those are actually being highlighted in your mind for a reason. It's not just you thinking this stuff. So I want you to go through your mind in this last week. Even more so, I want you to narrow it down to the last 3 days. What has been coming up in your mind that you're not speaking to other people, or maybe you're writing out, or maybe you're feeling or discussing with your closest people? I want you to literally think of those things. It would be even greater if you got pen and paper, wrote them down. Okay, because at the root level, there's the catalyst of what they are. But when you start peeling back those layers, there's more to them from your own programming, from your own childhood. No matter how good of a childhood you had or not, we all have some level of trauma from childhood and programming. Also generational patterns. So they root back to that stuff, and you can see patterns in some of those certain thoughts. What that also does is allow you not to get engulfed and entrapped, to keep yourself being sabotaging your own journey by your thoughts in your mind, because Virgo's mind is very harsh. Sometimes a Virgo can't even handle their own mind. So I think of the people that aren't Virgos, that don't really have balance and regulation like myself, that may really be struggling right now and not knowing how to work with the energy. And hopefully my information will be able to help at least one person. And I know it already has, because I shared this with somebody yesterday. And then analyzing those small details, right, to reflect on them, and then to create a plan, because ultimately you want to do opposite of whatever's causing those. So if that internal dialogue looks like, I'm not good enough, I'm not healthy enough, I don't feel good enough, well, what's the plan of opposite going to be? Let's take steps in better direction of knowing, yes, I am good enough, and resetting your mind, whether it's saying one line a day, eating better, starting to exercise, work out at whatever level. You've got to have some kind of opposite direction for every detail you are analyzing in your mind. And when you see it on pen and paper, it just hits so much differently, because it gets chaotic when you keep it in your mind. And Virgos do that a lot. And what they do is, and this is how it may be impacting you. When I say Virgos, I want you to just apply it to yourself, because right now everybody's emotional body is like a Virgo. And even more specifically, down to where it's at in your natal chart. So it is impacting those areas. And if you are keeping that within and overwhelming yourself, you're not able to find organization. It just gets worse and heavier and more chaotic. You literally have to. Some people like to drown out the world, but that's still there. You've got to get it out verbally. You have to get it out written wise. You have to get it out through transmuting, through positive, healthy coping mechanisms to transmute that energy, because every single thing is energy, including your thoughts, including the internal dialogue, and then creating that plan, right? So decluttering your mind and your spaces, not only your mental body and your physical body, cleaning that body out, but your physical space. I've noticed, it's funny, my daughter is not always the most organized. She's organized, but not always the most cleanliest. And these last few days, she's like super like tidy and everything, picking up on the energy. And she knows this, so she's aware. She's like, oh my God, I'm being like my Virgo self. And I love it. So what a tip that I have for decluttering your mind, because of it being Virgo energy and them really suppressing a lot and keeping a lot to themselves, what they end up doing sometimes is when that noise gets too much, the opposite of what they do when they keep to themselves and they block everybody out, is they will either work more, work on a project more, or they will try to be of service to other people more to get out of their own mind. But at the end of the day, that's still there. So they've got to learn to deal with it. And right now, you all need to learn to deal with it. So what I suggest you do to declutter the mind is what I refer to as mind mapping. Taking that pen and paper and getting everything out, whether it looks organized or not. I suggest make it really sloppy and just dump everything out onto the paper, okay? And then go through and either highlight or circle things that are similar. I'm really good at pattern recognition. It may take some people a little bit longer. That's okay. Then if you can take it a step further with that mind mapping and kind of declutter it by, is this from an old trauma? Is this from mom? Is this from dad? Is this from an experience that relates to a person that's more like mom or dad? What part of my life did this stem from? So the mind mapping can actually help you to declutter, organize your thoughts, organize what's going on up there. And there's a lot going on up there. I know a lot of people have a lot going on, especially if you don't have regular balance and emotional regulation at this time. It's just what it is. And don't judge yourself for that. But this Virgo new moon is ultimately helping around 3 common themes: upgrades towards your personal growth, your partnerships of all different kinds, and love. All right. And what's coming up, I like to highlight what may be coming up, because before a new moon, I think everybody expects the energy to be really rainbow and sunshiny, and you've got to think of it like a sponge. Think of your mind as being a sponge, and you've got to wring it out one last time before we start 30 fresh new days of energy that aligns with new beginnings, new opportunities, new mindsets. The stuff that's going to come out of that sponge a few days before is going to be the yuckiest, dirtiest, nastiest, and you're going to want to actually throw that sponge away and get a new one. Okay? And what comes up is old fears, old programming that creeps up to make you aware so that you can make room for new energy, new mindsets, new thoughts to lead to the new actions, which then will equal up to new results when you create discipline and consistency. There's only so much energetic space, and I say this all the time, and that's why it is kind of repetitive to a certain degree of what new moons and full moons do, but each one has different themes, and every year is so different. Also, acknowledge yourself for your micro and macro growth. This is very hard to do with Virgo energy because they will nitpick, and even if somebody gives them a compliment, they will say, well, I could do better. Well, yeah, you fucking could, but you know what? You've done really great from where you've come over the last 10 years. So I need everybody to just stop where you're at right now and literally like pat yourself on the back, clap, give yourself a knuckles up to yourself, whatever you got to do, and just say, I've come a long way. Okay? Don't focus on where you want to go, because that's where they're at already in their Virgo mind. Focus on where you're at right now, where you came from. The only reason to turn back is to see how far you've come from. Okay? So clear that slate, clean that slate, and use today's energy. A little bit more of the negative or low frequency stuff that could be surfacing are unfun thoughts and themes around abandonment, control, self-worth, which ultimately robs your own self-esteem. Okay, and the good feelings with the more heavier and more disorganized everything is. So it's ultimately like How is your Virgo energy sabotaging yourself right now? And what can you do to get control of it? I had a moment like 4 days ago. It hit me really early on, 5 days ago, even. And I was being very Virgo-ish. I got in my mind, which is not where I usually am at this point of life. And I stayed there for a little bit. I felt into it. I knew what to do, and I got myself out of it real quick because I was like, that ain't for me. That's not what I do. That's not baseline for me. So there are 3 signs specifically that this new moon could be more beneficial for. It's not a guarantee. I think some people sit there like as if the moon and the stars in the sky are like sun tanning, and you're like, it's just happening to me. No, it takes work. Those that like to put in work and do work will benefit from this. So the 3 signs are Virgo specifically, being that it's your birthday season and it's your sun sign, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Once again, I will repeat, it's not a guarantee, it's not an automatic. You have to actually do the work and apply what I'm saying in order for it to assist you and aid and be in a positive light. So what can we do about those negative things that are coming up? I refer to it in my coaching program as a light switch method. It's literally like thinking of switching the light in your mind and helping to aid in a physical, kinesthetic way to flip that script of dialogue. And the more positive ways to think about this is your soul already knows that you're doing your best. Okay, one of 3 things, because I'm not going to say everybody's there and saying my soul knows I've done great, because I know some people who are very hard on themselves and don't feel like their soul knows that. They would argue with me until I'm blue in the face and say the sun is not yellow, like I am not doing my best. So you're either one of these people or all 3 of them. That your soul knows you are doing your best and you have come a long way, or that you're aware that you want fucking change and you are being so triggered and bothered to actually help you to make the changes for once and stop falling victim into your own shit and old cycles. Because they're really good for that. They'll go a little bit in good and they'll go back to old patterns, and then they'll beat themselves up about it, and then they'll go in good ways. And it's like, no, Virgos are, if they think about, and you all think about that Virgo energy not being perfect, but trying in small speeds. I think they go like 100 all or nothing, and that will lead to crash or burnout faster. So if you build slowly and consistently, this isn't a race. And honestly, slow and steady wins the race. And that's how a good foundation is created, but not pausing major stops or abrupt shifts of both of the duality, okay? Or you could be both of those, a little bit of both. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the soul doesn't judge. The soul does not judge. Did you hear me? Your ego does. Okay? And a lot of people are proud of how big their egos are. There's nothing to be proud of that. But we can look at it as this. Our ego is us. We need to befriend that ego. That ego is your inner child. That ego is your experiences. That ego is your dialogue that you have accepted and are creating your reality out of. Okay, that's just truth. So why not use the lessons and wisdoms that you've learned instead of beating yourself up and being so negative about it to push you forward into positivity? Just a thought. That sounds pretty simple to me. It may be harder to do than it sounds, but guess what? Nothing is easy, and I don't take the easy way out. I like to keep things simple, but I don't take the easy way out. I like hard, as in I will conquer any challenge, and I like to help you see that you can do that too. And some people have friends, mentors, coaches, resources, tools, things that they have to do in order to see that, to light their own fire, to ignite their own light within them to keep going, all right? So you've got to find that area of where Virgo is within you. Like I said, if you have not done your natal chart, it would be really beneficial to do it with me. If you have done your natal chart with me, you're going to want to look at that area of life for yourself, or book a natal chart reading that specifically hits on your energy of now and where you're going in the next few months. And know that that perfection that they strive for, let's change this ideology about Virgos. Let's eliminate perfection. Let's change it to growth, because that's actually what they crave and what they like. They're just too hard on themselves while doing it. Okay, so everybody needs to just accept we want growth, we want to refine that and what that looks like for ourselves, and that there's duality within that growth, right? But the voices inside your head, and not the crazy ones that society will make you feel bad about, we all have an internal voice. Every single one of us. Some are just louder than others, and that's why balance is important. But the voices can ultimately destroy you from being able to relax and accept, and that equals surrender and peace. Peace is the byproduct of surrender. And so fine tune your own inner dialogue and let your inner critic be a little bit more gentle on yourself and come up with a better plan of how you're going to navigate forward from this all. Fall in love with you. You cannot love other people or love the service towards other people or being there for anybody else unless you love yourself. And there's a wide spectrum of people. Some people really love themselves. Some people have a hard time loving themselves, and some people don't love themselves at all. And I have so much compassion for those kind of people that I want them to help themselves find what they love about themselves. If they could just name one thing and run with that for 30 days. Or what's something they love to do but they don't get to do other than work, and do that, okay? What are some things that you can do to help you in this lunar energy? Get your natal chart done so that you understand yourself at a deeper level. It's like the gold mine of knowledge about yourself. Number 2, rewrite and reprogram your dialogue. And number 3, prepare a plan but take action. I never say prepare a plan without taking action, because just having a plan is not good enough. My mother had millions of plans. She didn't act on any of them. It didn't get done. I'm the one, the legacy living on for her, that has always completed my plans. And so just a little tad bit more. 2 other really themes that are big this new moon in Virgo is, how do you care for yourself? You know, a lot of people in society that are still on that busy hamster wheel care better for other people than themselves. And that doesn't make sense to me. It's like a phone, right? You use your phone on 2% all day, you're not going to have a phone. That's the same with yourself. You're going to be running on survival and burnout. Like, who wants to do that? And number 2, how do we choose the company we keep? Because ultimately, the company you keep impacts your body, mind, and spirit health and wellness. Even the most independent person can just surround themselves around one negative Nancy or one victim mentality or one whiner that doesn't take action. That impacts you. You talk with them. You don't even have to have a conversation. Just being in their energy. Months ago, I was around 2 people like this, and it was like boggling me. It felt like somebody was literally taking my energy to try to make theirs good, because it was so low vibe and negative. So that you can be selfless within your service. But first you need to be selfless of your service to yourself and detail oriented to yourself, and really look at these 2 questions in a very detail oriented way, like Virgos like to do. They are a masculine sign. They are logical. They analyze, sometimes a little bit too much, but you need to know when to stop. Everything is moderation, but some people have a hard time with moderation, which is understandable. So take a look at your routines, take a look at your wellness, take a look at the work you do. Some people are not happy with the work they're doing. Change it up. Maybe it's time for change. What are the work projects that aren't related to work, and what maybe you are ready to be done with, or what you're ready to start. Also, take a look at your lifestyle. Another great way that you can tune into your overall mental, spiritual, and physical health is tuning into your body. okay? And some of you may have heard me say that all illness, symptoms, and disease have an emotional root. We carry old stuff in our body. So your aches, your pains, certain side effects in certain parts of your body all mean something. Everything has meaning in multiple levels. So tune into your body. Where is your pain? Where are your side effects? If you want to ask me what they represent, drop it in the comments. I will try to answer as many possible, or maybe create a live on that topic. But figuring out where the pain is so that you can connect the emotional roots to it and listening to your body so you know how to care for yourself. It's also a time of the year that some people try to get back on track with eating right, exercising, all those things, because those are the parts of your routine that will benefit you. All right. And you've got to create space to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself at that foundational necessity level, what you eat, what you drink, what you put into yourself energetically, you won't be able to be of service. You'll actually be hurting and harming others with half-assed energy and yourself. So spiritual hygiene is actually, and Virgos are really big on hygiene. They're always usually really clean. They smell good. They look good. And they like hygiene. They're usually really organized, except for one area of their life that they keep hidden, whether that's an area in their home or their whole home, or within their love life, or within their mental body. It's usually a secret area that nobody knows. They will actually usually be hyper organized at work, unless it's a sloppy, get dirty industry. But I want to talk about some spiritual hygiene right now, okay? Because I think everybody knows how to physically take care of their hygiene, but your spiritual hygiene will actually take care of your energy body and your spiritual body. So I want to talk about these 11 things quickly, and then we're going to wrap this video up. The number one is taking care of your energetic boundaries, all right? Everybody needs to have boundaries. And if you don't have any, which a lot of people didn't grow up with boundaries being modeled to them, you need to apply healthy boundaries, not avoidance, not disassociation, boundaries, okay? So number two is thinking and speaking and embodying your truth. Now that doesn't mean just go off on every single person because you want to speak your authentic truth. That's not authentic. That's just being rude. There's a way to say things. There's a way to voice your opinion. I love when I see people that have not activated their throat chakras activate them, but it's not actually truly healing unless you're grounded and actually can say that without sounding like an adult having a temper tantrum, which I literally experienced a few months back, and I was like, that doesn't even deserve a reply because I can't meet this individual where they're at because they're having an adult temper tantrum because they finally activated their throat chakra. Number three, hold space for all of you. So holding space is something that is a balance within itself, because either people don't hold space at all for themselves and their thoughts and their feelings and their emotions, or they do it for too long. So I personally, 10 years ago, when I started off holding space for myself, I gave myself 24 to 48 hours, depending the severity of the topic and what was coming up for me, the emotions and how heavy it was. Some things need a little bit longer, but you ultimately have to have kind of like a checkpoint where you say, all right, dude, this has been, or all right, bitch. That's how I talk to myself, like in a healthy way. Like, bitch, it's been 24 hours. Let's do something about this. Let's get up. Let's get out the funk. Let's straighten the crown out and go about our way. Number four, acceptance and surrendering. Accepting that to just be. Acceptance of what is. Acceptance that you can get more. It requires action, but surrendering is an important part of that process. Number five, keeping a high frequency. And that involves a lot. There's different things you can do. Ultimately, your frequency, if you can't live without your modalities that support that frequency, you're being codependent on the modalities. You're not actually having a high frequency. And I'm just speaking raw and real. I may trigger a lot of people by saying that because I myself involve myself in many modalities. But in these last few months, I've actually done very little modalities. I'm just doing pure things to keep my frequency high. And that shows me you can live without any quantum healing, Reiki, crystal light sound therapy, all things that I support and promote, breath work, yoga, all these things. You don't need them. There's other ways to keep your frequency high. You don't need to be dependent on the modalities because sometimes people aren't actually doing the work. You're just saying, I'm breathing heavy and bringing up a lot of stuff, and I transmuted it in the moment, but it's still there. Number 6, grounding your frequency to not only grounding techniques, but stillness is what I mean. And Virgo's an earth energy. Okay, so get out into nature, take a walk, go to beautiful areas of your neighborhoods. There's some really beautiful parks. Trees actually give off a hormone that actually help us to be happy. So go to a cool ass park, wander around, and enjoy nature. And also, I want to say Earth's opposite is water. I'm a Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon. I can't get more water than that. And I'm a Cap rising, so it's the equal balance of Earth and water in me. Earth energy needs to ground in water just as much because they can get too concrete in the earth energy and become very rigid and very stern. And the water, their opposite, helps them to balance that. If you team up with another earth, you two can conquer the world as very dominant, stiff, rigid, black and white, narrow-minded ways, but earth element needs water. So all of you need to focus on grounding your spiritual hygiene within earth elements, but also water, which is your emotional body. Number 7, R&R. Rest and relaxation. People don't actually schedule time for this. It boggles my mind. When do you slow down? When do you rest? When do you take your fucking phone out of your hands? I schedule this. I live my life around it. It's going to help you. Number 8, diminish those fears and focus on love, because fear is ultimately low frequency ego, and love is high frequency and high consciousness. And that love is unconditional love for yourself and other people. And when you're bettering yourself and you ripple that out, you're automatically making the world a better place. It's a process, but do it. Number 9, flow state. And flow state really has to do with gaining the balance. And when I say balance, because that's what my business is all about, many people think that it's supposed to be a straight line of just balance, like Libra energy. Nope, nothing like Libra energy. Because balance is like water to me and a surfboard, and knowing how to flow with the ups, the downs, and having balance throughout good times, bad times, hard times, great times, and keeping that flow state within you, because it's never going to be just one way, and you can't get disappointed when it goes to the opposite. That's why Libras are a scale, and they get so off when they need to focus more on the flow of balance. That's what flow state is. And flow state, even more so, is allowing yourself to be in that higher consciousness more and more every day, and continuing that without major setbacks of going back to lower you, in ego, in fear base, in lower frequencies. And then number 10 is trusting and following your own intuition. For some people, it's really easy. For some people, it's harder to do. For those of you that it's harder to do, I want you to think of a time that you did not listen to your intuition or follow your intuition, and later on, afterwards, you recognize where you went wrong. Okay, and I want you to remember how that felt before you made the decision not to listen to your intuition and how you handled it, so that now you have a basis to stem something off of. Because I have a lot of intuitive development students or clients that come to me for psychic medium readings that say, I don't know how to follow my intuition. Everybody has that internal intuition, and having balance actually makes it clearer to help yourself to follow it and to listen to it, believe it or not. So, because if not, if you are listening to it, but you're keeping up with busy, go, 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 that can feel very manicky. And I see that in a lot of healers actually who are still going busy, busy, go, 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 do, 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 but using their intuitive gifts, but they come off like manic as fuck. Number 11, the last one, reflect before reacting. Taking that pause. Spiritual hygiene. These are all spiritual hygiene, okay? Actually, I lied. There's one more. 12, eating consciously. So your spiritual hygiene is huge, and that's how I'm going to end the video, because spiritual hygiene ties in with growth and wellness that represents Virgo's area of life that they rule and what's impacting everybody. I'm going to also leave you with, well, what should I do now that I know all this information? I have a full blown out ceremony. Not everybody's going to get that to that level. I want you to just acknowledge what's come to your mind in these last few days within your emotional body, your subconscious body, and your dreams. Okay, I was doing dream interpretation last night. Love it. Then I want you to mind map. I want you to get the pen and paper out and try to make those connections. And then what you can do is, new moons are all about creating the new intentions of what you want to create for yourself. So write. You could just think them and say them, but it actually holds more power to write them. So at whatever level you want to do any of these things will work for you. I'm not somebody who says you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I am very spiritual, but I keep things a buck, and I break it down in a very humanly way. Because at the end of the day, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So I want everybody to be able to relate to everything I say, not just people who practice spirituality more so than other people. I hope you learned something from this video. I would love for you to drop in the comments a comment, something you learned, a question, and I will be back to answer those in divine timing. And check out more energy updates in the next few days. Lots of love and light.